All right, let's get started, friends. Welcome. Bring yourself here. Let's start here. Sensory awareness. Inhale, lift the arms up. Exhale, reach up and over. Inhale, lift the arms and lift the sides of the waist up. Exhale, float over. Let's do that a few times. So inhale and draw up. Exhale and flow over. So I want you to use the image today of flowing water. It's still summertime as we're recording this, and we all want to be at the water's edge anyway. So moment to moment, build on the sensory awareness of energy rising, and then you make something of it. So let's say you had artistic ability. Stay with me. Just for argument's sake, you have artistic ability. And what you're sculpting here, what you're creating here is a functional body. It looks good, it sounds good, it feels good, it operates well. So functionally, notice with your senses. When I breathe in, what fills up? And then what do I do? It goes in deep, right? What do I do with that energy? Come up, turn to one side, let the arms down. Once the arms come down, don't pull. We're talking in yoga this week. I want you to roll these shoulders here. We're talking in yoga this week about sacral awareness. The sacrum is the bone at the back of the pelvis. So I don't want you to over twist. Now I'm doing this with my arm. Do whatever you want with your arm. I'm just moving my shoulder around and letting the tension dissolve. Come back to center. Inhale, stretch up, turn the other way. Let the arms down. Don't pull. Roll the shoulders probably forward this time. You were doing it backwards last time. So that you can consciously and subconsciously, I'm talking about the reservoir of our waters. You can consciously and subconsciously release the tension that you've built. So let's say something really minor happened. 2 breaths here. And then release. Let's dandasana. That's a yoga term. It means stick. Take the legs out in front so that your legs are like a stick. And there's another part of dandasana. We push down through the hands. Let's say you have Tyrannosaurus Rex arms. Then you would grab blocks or something so that you can press into something. But it's not really important how hard you're pressing. What's important is that you're elevating and uplifting the spine. So let's say something happened. Oh, I don't know, somebody asked you for a ride somewhere. And you just didn't have the reservoir. You didn't have the energy. You didn't have the ability to get up and go do that next thing. And so your body's kind of locked up. So, whoa, something doesn't feel right. It could be anything. It could be somebody looked at your shirt and said, hey, why can I see your bra? My daughter said that to me the other day. She said, Mom, your bra, it almost looks like you did that on purpose. I said, well, honey, I did do that on purpose. I do look in the mirror from time to time. All right, so this is what we're doing. We're pushing the heels out. So see, I'm sort of walking this feet and pulling the hips back and pressing the hips down. The hands are pressing. And in fact, if you have extra reservoir, lift your hips up. So let's say you have the ability to do a little push up here. Do a few of those. You might be surprised. This is really good for your back. Almost like we're shaking out that tension, because tension remains lodged for a long time. So use your senses. Like this feels like something is moving here. Come down this time. Bend one knee, bring the sole of the foot to the floor. I want you to just notice, I'm still talking about the sacrum this week, that when one knee bent, its pelvis, its hip bone rocked back. The other one pretty much stayed where it was. So there was this twist happening in the low back and the sacrum. 2 breaths here, but you're trying to resolve that by lifting energy up. So drawing from the waters, the reservoir of the pelvic bowl, inhale and feel that breath go deep. Let's go the other way. So just taking one leg in, just notice that when you draw one leg in, did you sort of twist and fall back? Did you round your spine? Like all these things that can actually happen. Don't do any of them. Use your mind to control. The name of Pilates, right, is control. So use your mind to control the waist muscles, to uplift the spine so that you can draw from the healing waters. It's sensory awareness training. Sensory, what are you sensing? What are you feeling? Awareness, pay attention. Find that something really interesting here. Training, do it again and again. Let's make our way around now to hands and knees. When you get to hands and knees, work your spine from cat to cow. Now hold cat pose. When you're ready, hold cat. So the sacrum and the hip bones, ilium, the hip bones, they should move together. So when you come into cat pose and you're getting this nice arch in the low back, and we call it the tail, right? The tail is tucking under. The pelvis should be doing the same thing, whatever the sacrum is doing. So if the sacrum is sort of tucked under, it's like doing this nice curve. Your pelvis should be doing that same rocking motion. Come back to hands and knees. Move up and back into downward dog. So far I've been adding a lot of yoga elements here. Don't worry, we'll get there. Look forward, then hinge forward like you're dragging your arms down towards your feet into plank pose. Continue to weave together the abdominals. Slowly lower all the way down pose. Squeeze the legs together, lift the legs up pose. This is called grasshopper. In yoga, some yoga places call this grasshopper because I want to focus a little bit more on strengthening the muscles of the low back. Some of those muscles are considered abdominal muscles. That's fine, whatever you want to consider it. Its job is to hold you in place. So sensory awareness, sense if those muscles are squeezing, become aware, pay attention to it, and train. Inhale, exhale, squeeze. Now, are your glutes squeezing too? Yes. Are your toes opening out to the sides a little? Yes, a little. But notice the connection from your heels up the inseam of your pants, and you're still drawing up. Remember, we were seated up? And then release the legs down. Push back into child's pose. Take an inhale. Exhale up to cat pose. Round the spine. Exhale, release. Turn the toes under, move into downward dog pose, lift the hips up and back, stretch. Look forward, inhale. Exhale, float forward into this plank pose. You know I'm gonna hold you in the plank pose a little bit longer. So I do turn my head and I look at you and I lift my head and look up. Try not to do that. Try to train your spine to stay in one long energy super highway. Slowly lower all the way down only by bending your elbows. So your body comes down like a dandasana. Remember that word? That means stick. Your body floats down like a stick. Squeeze the heels together, lift both legs up. Now purposely squeeze the abdominals in. So again, when I say abdominals, most of us mean the belly stuff on the front here, but the abdominals exist all around the middle ribs and the back and the top rim of the pelvis. The abdominals they're kind of everywhere. You probably thought that anyway. Give this 3 breaths of lengthening the inseam, so heels are squeezing. You're lengthening and then drawing energy up through the pelvic bowl and up through, remember what I just said, that long spine, that highway of energy. And exhale, release the legs. Push back into child's pose. I want to do that little, in yoga, we call it a vinyasa, that little flow one more time. Sometimes we get to put things together and they feel like they go from one thing to another, just like water flows, like you are an artist. Here we go. Inhale. Cat pose, round. Another breath. Remember that the sacrum is going in the same direction as the pelvis. Then release. Lift off into downward dog pose. Remember that the sacrum, that's the bottom bone of the spine. It sits in the center of the back of the pelvis, the same direction as the pelvis. So if the pelvis rocks forward, the spine or the sacrum rocks forward. Hinge forward into a plank pose, weaving together, almost like you can feel yourself putting on one of those tight belts on the front to hold you in plank pose. Align the head, the neck, and pull the shoulder blades flat onto the back, like there's two suction cups pulling in and onto the ribs. Lower down slowly. Once you get there, squeeze the heels together, lengthen both legs, lift both legs. Now squeeze the abdominal bundles. The abdominal bundles, what does that mean? I was about to say that we have nerve bundles that tell muscles what to do. And the nerves work together, kind of like a team. You know, you say squeeze, I'll say how far, I'll sense whether she's squeezing or not, and we'll give a new set of instructions based on the result. But I called it abdominal bundles. So there's my new term, abdominal bundles, the nerves that you're sensing. And exhale, release. Push back into child's pose. After a breath or two, let's add on. So I'm already feeling these dimples of Venus. I did not make that up. On either side of your sacrum, there's powerful ligaments that hold the skin onto the bone. And so even though you may gain fat there, that part never fills in. So there's two like dimples on either side. Come back up to hands and knees. I like that they're called dimples of Venus. That sounds pretty. Extend one leg back. Now, without moving your pelvis, lift your leg a bit up and down. For this practice, this exercise, don't care what your foot or your knee are doing. So I'm learning to swim. And, you know, I know some of you say, I've known you forever, Candace, and you swim. Yeah, I'm learning to do it right. I'm learning to do it so I don't feel like I'm drowning, and so that I can do it in a fitness way, you know, so I can actually, you know, move. Squeeze your abdominals so that your pelvis doesn't move, just your leg. That makes sense? Remember that the sacrum is attached to the pelvis. Let's say it that way. And it should always move in the same direction as the pelvis, which means in this case, it's not moving. So your back is not doing this cow, cat, cow, cat. It's staying level and flat. 3 more times. Now try dragging the knee into the belly and extending the leg back. Same thing, we're not moving the back. If you're very, very coordinated and you may have worked for the circus at some point in your life, extend the opposite arm forward and then pull the elbow to the knee. Same thing's happening. And that is nothing. Nothing is happening in the pelvis and the sacrum, the spine, the neck, the head. The arm and the leg are moving, and the arm and the leg in Pilates become the resistance that trains the sensory awareness, those nerve bundles that hold you, support you, and become your reservoir. They become the unconscious pool that you operate from. 3 more times. Keep finding yourself squeezing the core muscles. Hold in and together. If the elbow touches the knee, do that. And then release down. Let's go to the other leg before I forget I have an other leg. Extend one leg back and hold. For this practice, just lift the leg a little and drop the leg. See if you can sense. I want you to put on your spidey senses here. See if you can sense at what point of lifting do you want to kind of crack your back or move your pelvis. Same thing. When you're going down, you may feel like you want to round your back or soften the glute. Do neither of those. As you lift, stop when you need to stop. It might be there, it might be up here, it might be, I don't know. So use your spidey senses to notice when You're actually supporting the sacrum and the pelvis moving together or staying still together. Doesn't matter, they're married. Let's pretend, because that's safer. When we work together, we all win. 3 more times. Be open to the possibility of change. Here we go. Here's that change I talked about. Drag the knee in, extend the leg back. What's happening in your low back, your pelvis, and your sacrum? That's right, nothing. They're holding, they're supporting you. They become the deep well. So say something bad happens in your life, just for purposes of the exercise, pretend like something can happen bad in your life. I hope nothing comes to mind immediately. I hope that your life is full of love and light, but we need that deep well, those healing waters. Now I'm noticing I can't drag my knee in too far. If I try to drag my knee in far, my low back rounds. Okay, circus people, other arm, drag in, stand out. And it's absolutely okay to say, not today, not today. Nope, nope, I don't have it today. Today's a particularly challenging day for me. And what I want you to know is that this will pass, right? If this is that day for you where I'm not getting out of bed, I'm not putting, I'm not taking the curlers out of my hair, that's okay. Maybe this is the day you take just to heal the body, the self. 3 more times. Or this is the day you find inspiration. Hold elbow to knee. If they touch, do that. 2 and 1. Make your way around and onto your back. I reserve the right to come back to hands and knees. I don't always flow. Stretch both legs straight up. Do you remember Dandasana? Both legs up. Remember, the legs are a stick. If you were to put your arms overhead, if you want to, this is downward dog. Do you believe me? The only difference is your head would be like hanging up at the ceiling. Remember you played that game when you were a kid? Let's walk on the ceiling. Actually, that's not a bad thing. Why don't we do that? I'm going to take the arms out, either like a letter T or goalpost, and then walk the legs. So walk the ceiling. It was a good thing. Inspiration hit me. Inhale, blow out to the mouth. Inhale, blow out to the mouth. All right, now I know you're challenged. Now I know that some of you I know have been with me a while, that yoga is like, to you, you associate, when you see me, you start doing yoga immediately. So here's where you can feel me transitioning into the more Pilates, right? All of a sudden, I'm having to think, how do I control the spine and these hips? That's when you know you're doing Pilates, when all of a sudden things are a little bit moving faster, and I'm having to figure out, how do I control this? Hold like one leg forward, one leg back. Bend both knees, and then switch their position. So extend the legs, bend the knees, switch the position. Extend the legs, bend the knees, switch their position. Straighten, bend, switch. Straighten, bend, switch. Okay, you don't have this, that's fine. Just control whatever's happening. Make it happen on purpose. So this is actually part of my drill for kicking and figuring out my legs in the water. So I thought I would use that here. So it doesn't matter. You're not going to sink. You're fine. But what I said was, when I get in the water, nothing is happening on purpose. Everything is just sort of doggy paddle. So I'm trying to learn that same level of control. Notice that this is basically the one leg or double leg stretch, sorry. In Pilates, I've just added a little bit of a nuance. After 3, what are your abs doing? Use sensory awareness, that is, get that feedback from those abdominal bundles. And 1, bring both feet to the floor. Yikes. Lift the hips up. So I'm going to put the arms down, lift the hips to bridge. Go back to breathing. So now, instead of your spine being this thing that sort of originates at your pelvis and goes up to kind of the back of your skull, imagine your spine is originating at your knees. And breathe up. I'm going to call that the spine. Breathe up the spine to kind of the back of your skull. And then breathe down the spine. Now, the direction and the path that your breath is now taking up and down should be smooth and straight. So when you find your hips starting to sag, to twist, one leg holding or the other leg, go back to kind of molding, like you're sculpting with clay, this into a straight, flowing bridge pose. 2 more breaths. Keep finding the spaces that may need a little bit of encouragement and then come all the way down. All right, I got one more leg idea here, and that is stretch both legs up, same as before, Dandasana. One leg in, one leg out, same as before. So far we got it, but this time, sweep the legs out and around, and then stop. So notice they're now in the other position. Doesn't matter. Go out and around and keep switching positions. So sweep around, sweep around. I almost need like a backbeat here. Everybody sweep around, sweep around, sweep around. All right, the legs are only moving in a circular pattern. Begin to notice how inner outer thighs are collaborating with those abdominal bundles. There's no such thing as abdominal bundles. I'm just saying, pay attention with your sensory awareness to train your abdominal muscles to control the relative mobility and stability of the pelvis. Remember, the sacrum can almost be considered part of the pelvis. It's not, but that it should move in the same direction at the same time with the same sense of control. Are you getting tired? 2 more. I'm sorry. Did I make this difficult? And then release all the way down. Once you release all the way down, cross your right ankle over your left ankle. Got it? Bring your arms overhead and kind of hold your elbows. If you can't hold your elbows, hold your hands. Again, you can't do that. That's okay too. Now bow your entire body. So elbows and feet go over to the left edge of the mat, and right elbows going up towards, the direction of your head. And you're elongating from elbow through the sideways, through the side hip, through the side of the leg, and down through the ankle. Thinking about how nerves connect. Nerves are cells encased in a covering that's sort of a fatty tissue. And they don't really touch each other. They're not an actual chain. They give off chemicals, which the other one reads and then decides what to do, etc. So nerves are always reshaping, reforming. It's almost like you never have the same body, the same thought twice. It just feels that way. Let's go to the other side. So legs recross and they shift right. Arms, they don't have to change their position, just shift elbows over to the right this time. Remember now, it's that left elbow is moving, when I say up, in the direction of the crown of the head, up that way. So these nerves, when we purposely draw them apart from each other, we're giving them the opportunity to change their position with each other and connect with other nerves. It's kind of like when you're with one group of people and you're sort of one person, and then you find yourself in a new group of people and you find your personality a little bit changing for this new set. It's kind of like that. So stay open to this moment by moment sensory awareness that maybe your body's needs have changed. And then release. All right, hug the knees into the chest. All right, only if this is available to you and it's not to everybody, lift the head, curl in and hold. Maybe embrace hug. I'm going to hold on to these shins. No, not. I'm going to hold on to the back of the legs. That's better. And rock towards the tail, towards the shoulder blades. Now you really have to puff out the low back for this rolling like a ball. The Pilates exercises never have really fun names. It's rolling like a ball. Not that creative. Because if I am a flat ball, I'm going to hurt myself. Don't roll if you're not a ball. Come all the way up. Walk forward and step back to hands and knees. Good. Brace the abdominals. Lift off to downward dog. Keep that bracing, almost like you're paying attention more to the bracing than the downward dogging. Make your way forward, step forward. Surrender. Surrender the upper body. I'm guessing this is the first time today you've hung in a forward fold. Not me. I do it because I'm always healing this Achilles tendon / plantar fascia. So surrender deeply. Keep creating sensory awareness. So when your hamstrings do stretch, first of all, be glad. Oh, good, that happened. That's a good thing. Don't always program your brain to go to the negative. I do that. Secondly, train your brain to listen in. What are your hamstrings telling you? I've been tight. I've been seated too long. Bring your hands up to your knees. Soak the belly in. Soak the belly in. Keep soaking, keep soaking, keep soaking. Then roll all the way up. So with articulation, let's do that one more time. Come to forward fold. So take your pelvis, spill it forward, hang down. What I say, surrender deeply. Talk to your hamstrings. Let them talk back. Acknowledge them. Say, thank you for that feedback. I love you dearly. Then walk your hands up to your knees, come halfway up. This is the soaking part. Soak the belly in without rounding your back. Notice the difference. Soak the belly in so you're collecting that tissue and pulling it in. Now do round your back, bend your knees, and roll all the way up. Articulating, that was the word I was trying to get there. Articulating the spine. We're going to practice standing on one leg. Let me stand this way so you can see me. Stand on one leg. Practice turning that whole leg out and forward. Some of you have already seen this already. So your goal is to keep the pelvis rock solid, pointing forward, and squeeze the gluteal and piriformis. That's a deep gluteal rotator. Twist. We're doing the twist, but only the leg. All right, by now, some of us are really working balance. Please do work on balance. Say you had a bar, because I know you have a bar, ballet bar in your house. Not the other kind of bar. I get that all the time. Candace said I should go to the bar. Oh, no, not that kind of bar. The ballet bar. Let's say you have that. Fingertips are touching it. Don't hold on to it. Now, open the leg out and hold. Yes. Then sort of lift the leg up and back behind you. Try to not lift this hip too much. I have this nice stripe on my waist here, so you can see it. If I lift that hip, you can see it. So I'm going to work hard here to be a good example for you. Now I'm squeezing the glute as it meets this tensor fascia latte. Squeeze without lifting the hip. 4, 3, 2, hold up, hold up, hold up. Now extend the leg, point the toe. So this is the first time I'm asking you to do something with your toes. Holding this all like that, I want you to hinge at the other leg's hip, lift this back leg up, spine goes forward and back up. So this back leg is just like this long lever. And the front leg now is thinking, what on earth does she want from me? I'm falling. I can't control this. Ding, 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 ding. Every time you hear that word control, think Pilates. My abs are in control, keeping me from falling. Believe it or not, it's your abs that are directing your foot, so that you can balance the force of this moving. I had a Pilates class that I always called this drinking bird. 4, 3, 2. Last one. And then come back up. All right, let's try again. Other leg, same as the first. It's just like a song. Lift the leg, twist the knee out and back straight. Let's see if I can see my belt not moving. Keep pulling confidently from the waters of the pelvic bowl. Keep sensing. Keep attuning. Can I use that word? Attuning? Keep attuning to this deep well. Those things I called nerve bundles. How are you interacting with the gluteals? You know what? When you sit on your glutes all day, you're not interacting with them. You may think you are, but you're not interacting. So they're, believe it or not, disconnecting. So when I say, are you in tune? No, your glutes are like, I'm somewhere else, lady. Hold open, lift up and back and down without lifting your hip up. Almost universally, when I start doing Pilates with people who've never done it, they say, it is so hard. I'm never coming back. Thank you very much for introducing me to Pilates. There's one thing I'm not going to do again. But universally, when people stick with it, they say, I am feeling the difference. I am seeing the difference and I'm no longer in pain. So this is hard work, but it is absolutely worth it. And it's important to gain that stability in the spine to alleviate things like spinal disintegration. Hold. Straighten the leg, point the toe. And here's where we dip from the top of this other thigh to kind of whatever this is, parallel to the floor and back up. Now, remember in the beginning when I did that breathe in, remember I said breathe in through the spine and up through the head and pull energy up. Do that. This back leg is still rotated outward in case it turned back in. Now, not always. I want to tell you that your leg being turned out is the right position. That's just what we're doing today. Remember, I said that your body's going to keep changing. And I want you, when you come to a practice, is to observe. Because if you can't observe or you're not observing yourself, first of all, you can't make any corrections, but you can't know what you need. So if I ask you, what do you need? You say to me, I don't know. 3. What are the lower abs doing? Connect with that bundle. Squeeze them in. 2. And 1. Let's come up to the front of the mat, wherever that is to you. Circle up, extend back. Pause there and get some really good extension. As I'm recording this, we're like in the middle of the gymnastics portion of the Olympics. So get that really good, like you just landed. You just landed that triple tumble salt, whatever those things are. Really spread out through the chest. And then I'm going to ask you to forward fold. And then I'm going to see if you want to come down to a low squat. So what I do is I turn my legs a bit out. I'm turning to the side so you can see what I'm doing. And see how you can drop your hips down. Adjust. Legs hip. So we're about ready to start the 400-meter race. They get down like this and they start that. I'm just saying, come down to a low squat and then join me as we come all the way down to the floor. All right, if you have the ball, if you have the block, we're going to come back to that bridge. but this time slide the ball or the block under your sacrum. So here's a little bit more education. The spine is numbered, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and all that jazz. So down at the bottom, I believe that's S1. S1. So their ball, your block is down at the bottom, not the top. Maybe spread your arms out like a letter T to help you gain stability. And then if you can, both knees. So since I know some of you have the block instead of the ball, I'm going to make this a little bit harder because the block is a little bit easier than the ball. If you just lift it up and you're on the ball, you're falling all over the place. Rethink your life choices and do something different. Let's go back to what we did before. Nothing new to learn here. One leg forward, in towards your face, one out, and then just switch positions, kind of like we were walking on the ceiling before, but this time point the toes and don't rotate the legs out. This time, don't. So you may have to think about what's the opposite of rotating the legs out. And what I mean is, what muscles do that? You don't have to know their name. Just make sure that they're doing what they're doing to hold you. Now, especially if you're on the block, but even the ball, make sure your low back isn't turning to jelly. So what? What? Is that a thing? Can that happen? What I mean is keep the integrity of a steel waist. How's that for an image? Keep the integrity of uplifting. Remember we were in that grasshopper pose and you had to squeeze those muscles. Remember that? Keep doing that. You may not be moving the spine, but keep supporting the spine. 3. All I'm going to do is change the count here. When the legs go out, pulse them. 3, 2, 1, switch fast. 3, 2, 1, switch. 2, 3, 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 pulse, 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 pulse. You got it. Keep going. I have added pulsing and speed because those are elements that are going to change how your abdominal muscle bundles are going to react. 3 more. 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Bring the feet down, lift the hips up. Release that. One more. Then we get to Shavasana. Give me a second. The ball in my sacrum always sort of like does something. I'm going to stretch out long, ball or block in your hand. It could even be a teddy bear. You have a teddy bear? Do that. Stretch out long. Squeeze the abs, round the back, squeeze together. Put that ball or back between your ankles and stretch out long. Keep going. So you're stretching out long. Squeezing your abs, pulling your spine to the floor, round and curling, and transferring that to the other hand or ankles. Squeeze, curl, round, transfer, extend, lengthen, reach. Squeeze, so with control. Stretch, with control. Stretch, with control. So all of the chains of muscle, all of the chains of nerves and muscle, sensorily awareness to make sure that your, in my case, teddy bear, is having this smooth, stable, soft, gentle, flowing experience. 3 more times. If your low back is doing like a crickety crackety thing, it's lifting up and slamming back down, then don't go so far. Last one. And then when you're done, you can put that ball to the side. Now see, because it's this, I can't throw it. I have to place it very, very nicely there. Yeah. Hug the knees to the chest. Rock side to side. Inhale, exhale. 3 times. Inhale, exhale. and then move into Shavasana. So finally, release your body all the way down to the mat. Softly begin to sink. Now, just for a moment, I want you to hold space. That doesn't mean hold your body or your muscles necessarily. It means stop your mind. You're encountering the infinite love that resides everywhere. So now as you soften your heart and feel your chest release its last bit of anger, pain, grudge, hostility, resentment, and fear. Step back from control and let love flow. As you inhale now, take in more love like you're drinking. As you exhale, let it pass in, through, and around all of the tissues of your body. Inhale, take in more love, drink it up. As you exhale, let it move, let it flow, let it flow. In your time now, sort of stretch like a yawn. It's like you're tightening all your muscles, then you're releasing all your muscles, and then begin to roll to your side. Take a deep breath in here and let it go. Open your eyes, push off the floor. Let's come all the way back up here together. Make that spine straight so that there's a pathway for breathing and the connection. Inhale and lift up. Kind of touch everything up there. And then exhale. You're all done. You did it. Fantastic.